There is a cruelty in the human eye that no one admits to. It does not matter how pure your heart is. Before you speak, before you shake a hand, before you offer a single thought, you have already been judged, weighed, and priced. You know this feeling. You have walked into a room and felt the temperature drop. You have been left standing at the gate while others walk through. Machiavelli understood this silent slaughter. If you look poor, the world treats you as prey. If you look weak, everything works against you. This is the brutal geometry of perception. Imagine the heavy glass doors of a Manhattan high-rise. You push them open. You are wearing a jacket that is 2 years too old. The fabric is tired. Your shoes have lost their structure. You step onto the marble floor. Watch what happens next. It is not an explosion. It is a subtle, silent execution. The security guard shifts his weight. The receptionist's smile becomes tight, professional, cold. The ambient chatter in the lobby does not stop, but its frequency changes. You have brought a scent into the room. It is the scent of irrelevance. Poverty, to the modern human animal, is not a financial state. It is a biological contagion. They look at your scuffed shoes and their primitive brain registers a threat. Parasite, a liability. They do not want it to touch them. Now, erase that image. The same heavy glass doors, the same marble floor. A different man walks in. The fabric of his suit absorbs the light. It is cut to the exact millimeter of his shoulders. His shoes strike the marble with a solid, resonant click. He does not look around to see if he is accepted. He assumes the space belongs to him. Watch the ecosystem react. The guard straightens up. Not in defense, but in deference. The receptionist's smile genuinely reaches her eyes. The room warms. Doors that require keycards suddenly swing open. People step aside in the elevator. Did he speak a word? Did he prove his intelligence? Did he demonstrate his morality? No. He simply wore the uniform of the apex predator. Let us go darker. Let us look at the sanctuary of capital. The bank. A man walks into a pristine wealth management office. He needs a loan. He is desperate. His collar is slightly frayed. He carries his papers in a disorganized folder. He over-explains. He smiles too much. He is trying to compensate for his lack of visual weight with verbal noise. He is saying, "Please trust me. I am a good person. I work hard." The loan officer nods. The officer takes polite notes. But the decision was made the moment the man sat down. The vault door in the officer's mind slammed shut. Heavy steel locking into place. The institution sees a sinking ship and refuses to tie its boat to it. Comfort is the enemy of power. And this man looks distinctly uncomfortable. Contrast him with the man who does not need the money. He walks into the same office. He is draped in quiet luxury. No flashy logos. Just impeccable construction. He speaks slowly. He does not smile to seek validation. He uses silence as a weapon. He leans back. He looks slightly bored. What happens? The vault opens. The institution trips over itself to offer him leverage, to offer him better rates, to offer him their capital. They want to be associated with his momentum. He is a king in silk, demanding tribute, while the other was a beggar in rags, pleading for mercy. You have felt this. Do not lie to yourself. Think back to a time when you were underdressed in a room full of power. You felt your own posture shrink. You felt your voice lose its bass. You became hyper-aware of where to put your hands on. You laughed a little too loud at jokes that were not funny, just to be included. You became the extra in your own life. You felt the temperature of the room drop, and you internalized the freeze. You tried to warm them up with your personality. You thought if they just got to know you, if they just saw your soul, they would respect you. But respect is not granted to the submissive. Respect is extracted by the dominant. When you project weakness through your appearance, you awaken the predator in everyone around you. Even nice people, even moral people. It is subconscious. They cannot help it. We are chimpanzees in tailored clothing, constantly scanning the hierarchy. When you look like you belong at the bottom, the world will instinctively step on your shoulders to elevate itself. It is not personal. It is efficient. Society feeds you a comforting lie. They tell you not to judge a book by its cover. They tell you to be authentic. They tell you that character is all that matters. But walk into a Michelin-starred restaurant looking like you slept in your car and try to pay with your character. See how far that gets you. The maitre d' will block your path before you even see a menu. The establishment will physically expel you to protect the illusion for the paying guests. Your appearance is the preamble to your existence. It is the thesis statement of your worth before you even open your mouth. If you refuse to play this game, you do not elevate yourself above it. You simply lose. You become a victim of the very system you claim to despise. You must kill the childish need to be recognized for your internal goodness by a world that only sees in high-definition surfaces. The world does not judge your heart. It scans your armor. Let us go darker. You have been taught to view social dynamics through the lens of morality. You think in terms of right and wrong, fair and unfair. Stop. That is a comforting illusion designed to keep the weak docile. If you want to understand why the world turns its back on you when you look desperate, you must strip away the civilized veneer. Underneath the tailored suits and the polite emails, we are not angels. We are apes. We are predators and we are prey. We are operating on software that is millions of years old. Think of the African savanna. Think of the deep ocean. When a shark senses a single drop of blood in the water, it does not feel empathy. It feels hunger. When a wolf in the pack begins to limp, the others do not slow down to carry it. They leave it behind, or they tear it apart themselves. Why? Because in nature, weakness is a liability. It endangers the whole herd. It attracts danger. It screams to the surrounding environment that here is an easy kill. Now, bring that into the boardroom. Bring that into the networking event or the street. When you walk in with wrinkled clothes, a sunken posture, and that nervous, pleading look in your eyes, you are the limping wolf. You are bleeding in the water. You think you are just experiencing a temporary financial setback. You think you are just having a bad month. But the primitive brains of the people around you do not understand economics. They understand survival. To them, your desperation has a physical presence. It has a scent. The scent of submission. It reeks of a rotting corpse waiting to be devoured. Human beings, primal as we are, can smell that scent from a mile away. People do not cross the street to avoid the beggar just because they do not want to give up $1. They avoid him because on a deep neurological level, they view his condition as a contagion, a disease, a sickness that might jump from his ragged coat onto their clean lives. They are terrified of the bad luck. They are terrified of the poor decision-making. They fear the sheer gravitational pull of failure. They look at you, looking poor, and their instincts scream to quarantine you, to cut you out of the social ecosystem before your failure infects their success. Watch how they recoil. It is in the micro-rejections. They do not maintain eye contact. Their feet point toward the door when you speak to them. They give you vague promises to escape your presence. Let us catch up soon. I will send you an email. These are the polite modern equivalents of abandoning the weak to the lions. They are distancing themselves from the scent of your desperation. And what do? You make it worse. You keep trying to appeal to their humanity. You explain your struggles. You overshare your trauma. You think pity will open doors. Pity is a weapon they use to feel superior while they lock the gate in your face. Pity never wrote a check. Pity never offered a partnership. No one wants to pull a drowning man onto their boat if he is thrashing wildly. They are afraid you will sink them both. You must understand the ruthless mathematics of the food chain. No one wants to ally with a sinking ship. They want to attach themselves to a rocket when you look like you are struggling to survive. You trigger their survival instinct to run away from you. You become the noise they want to silence. You become the threat they want to neutralize. This is the brutal reality of the human animal. We do not reward suffering. We punish it. Poverty is not a circumstance. In the eyes of evolutionary biology, it is an alarm signal. And this leads us to the loudest signal of all. You think poverty is a number in a bank system. It is not. Poverty is a nervous system stuck in a permanent state of apology. It is a posture. It is a reflex. You are leaking your low status through 100 micro-behaviors you do not even realize you are executing. You are broadcasting your vulnerability to the predators. And worse, you have convinced yourself you are just being polite. Let us dissect your physical presence. When you walk into a room occupied by high-status individuals, what does your face do? Before a word is spoken, your mouth stretches into a tight, reflexive smile. You think you are projecting warmth. You are not. You are flashing a submissive grin. In the animal kingdom, baring teeth without aggression is a frantic plea for mercy. You are begging for permission to occupy the space. You are signaling to the apex players in the room that you are harmless. Understand this immediately. Harmless is simply a polite synonym for useless. The powerful do not smile to diffuse tension in a room. They let the tension hang in the air. They let it suffocate the weak. They watch you squirm under the weight of it. Then, you open your mouth. Someone asks you a simple question, a straightforward inquiry that requires a yes or a no. But you cannot tolerate the brevity. You launch into a paragraph. You explain the context. You justify your past actions. You offer evidence of your good intentions when nobody asked for a defense. Why do you do this? Because deep down, your psychological baseline is that of a defendant on trial. You feel that your raw existence is insufficient, so you attempt to wrap it in a protective shield of words. You are trying to build a fortress of logic to compensate for your absolute lack of leverage, but words do not build fortresses. They build cages. Power is silent. Weakness is loud. The king never explains his decree. Only the peasant meticulously explains why the harvest failed. When you over-explain, you are subconsciously handing the judge's gavel to the person sitting across from you. You make them the absolute authority over your reality. You give them the power to audit your life. This contagion of weakness goes beyond your body and your voice. It bleeds into the physical artifacts you carry. Pull your phone out of your pocket. Look at the glass. Is it cracked? You tell yourself a soothing lie about it. You say you are just waiting for the next upgrade cycle. You say the screen still functions perfectly fine. You tell yourself it does not matter. It matters immensely. A shattered screen is a loud, screaming broadcast of internal chaos. It tells the observing world that you are entirely incapable of managing your immediate physical environment. It signals a profound lack of resources, disciplina, or basic self-respect to maintain the tools you rely on daily. It is the broken window theory applied to your soul. If you tolerate a fractured lens through which you interact with the world assumes you will tolerate a fractured life. The elite notice these microscopic details. They do not judge you because you lack the capital to fix a piece of glass. They judge you for your high tolerance for brokenness. They see a crack in your screen, and they immediately know there is a fatal crack in your armor. You will fiercely defend these habits. You will call it being genuine. You will say you are just being your authentic self. You read modern self-help books that instruct you to embrace your flaws, to show your vulnerabilities, to let people see the real you. Ask yourself, who benefits from this advice? Who told you that vulnerability is a virtue on a battlefield? Society encourages your blind authenticity because it makes you entirely predictable. It makes you easy to categorize, easy to digest, and extremely easy to control. They want you to leak your insecurities so they know exactly where the soft tissue is when they decide to strike. You have bought into the greatest psychological scam of the modern era. You think bleeding in public makes you relatable. It does not. It paints a target on your back. You must kill the desperate. Childhood need to be genuine if your genuine self is weak. Authenticity without authority is just noise. You have been infected by a virus. It is called modern self-help. It tells you to be true to yourself. It tells you that if you are just good enough, smart enough, and work hard enough, the world will eventually recognize your genius. It tells you that your inner worth is the only metric that matters. What a beautiful, paralyzing lie. Who told you that vanity is a sin? Who taught you to despise the surface and only worship the depth? I will tell you who. The people who are already at the top. They sell you the morality of the meek, so you never become a threat. They want you weak. They want you distracted by your internal spiritual growth, while they systematically monopolize the external physical resources. They teach you to be humble so they can comfortably remain arrogant. Let us conduct a thought experiment. Imagine a king. Strip him of his crown. Strip him of his royal guard. Put him in the rotting rags of a street rat and throw him into the center of a crowded market square. Will the crowd intuitively bow to his noble soul? Will they sense his divine right to rule radiating through the dirt on his face? No. They will push him aside. They will spit at his feet. They will treat him exactly as he appears. Now, take the beggar from the gutter, wash the grime from his skin, drape him in the finest, heaviest silk. Give him the posture of a conqueror and the chilling silence of an apex predator. Send him into the high court. What happens? The guards instinctively open the heavy iron gates. The nobility offers him a seat at the table. They hang on his every unspoken word. The world does not have the time to interrogate your core. It surrenders to your surface. A king in rags is simply a beggar. A beggar in silk is a king. This brings us to the ultimate poison of the modern age. Comfort. Look at how you present yourself on an average day. You prioritize stretch fabrics. You wear shoes designed for lounging, not for conquering. You let your grooming slip because you are just running errands or working from a screen. You look in the mirror and you justify your physical deterioration. You say, "This is just who I am. I am comfortable." Listen to my words and carve them into your primitive brain. Comfort is the enemy of power. When you dress for comfort, you are sending a biological signal to the entire ecosystem that you have retired from the hunt. You are publicly declaring that you are no longer competing for status, for leverage, or for dominance. You have made yourself soft, and on the battlefield of life, soft things are prey. Your casual, comfortable attire is not a harmless lifestyle choice. It is a white flag woven from cheap cotton. You are signaling your surrender before the negotiation even begins. You will argue against this. You will say it is superficial and unfair. You will insist that your intellect, your degrees, and your raw talent should matter infinitely more than the cut of your jacket or the shine of your shoes. You think your brilliant ideas alone are enough to command respect. Let me ask you a brutal question. When you see a disheveled, filthy man muttering to himself on the street corner, did you ever stop and wonder if he was a genius poet? Did you wonder if he held the cure for cancer in his mind? No, you did not. You tightened your grip on your wallet and you walked faster to escape his radius. Your competence is completely irrelevant if it is buried under an exterior that screams incompetence. The human brain does not have the calorie capacity to investigate the deep, hidden potential of every single person it encounters. It relies on visual shortcuts. It relies on brutal heuristics. If your visual shortcut signals low value, your high-value ideas will never be heard. You are speaking a language the world aggressively refuses to translate. Stop waiting for society to evolve into a utopia of fairness. It will never be fair. It is a theater of optical warfare. You cannot demand a general's respect while wearing a peasant's uniform. You must stop dressing for the life you are comfortably surviving in and start forging the armor for the war you are trying to win. But there is a way to hack this mechanism. You do not have to be a victim of the human eye. You can weaponize it. You can take the very system that is designed to crush the weak and use it to force the world to submit to you. It requires a fundamental shift in how you view yourself and how you view the space you occupy. You must stop seeing your appearance as an expression of your current reality. Your current reality is irrelevant. Your appearance is a tool of psychological manipulation. It is the architectural blueprint for the reality you are about to construct. You must build the exterior first. You must forge the armor before you have the army. This is the principle of the mask. The uninitiated believe that wearing a mask is a betrayal of the self. They believe it is deceptive. Let them hold on to that belief while you take their resources. The truth is much more dangerous. The mask does not hide the face. The mask becomes the face. When you put on the uniform of power, an internal alchemy occurs. It is not just about how others perceive you. It is about how you perceive yourself within that new structure. Imagine you are exhausted, defeated, and feeling entirely inadequate. Now, imagine putting on a perfectly tailored suit. The weight of the fabric on your shoulders forces your spine to straighten. The constraint of the collar forces your chin up. The sharp lines of the silhouette restrict your chaotic, nervous movements. The garment itself dictates your behavior. It acts as an exoskeleton for a weak mind. You step out the door, and the world reacts to the silhouette. The security guard straightens up. The receptionist smiles. The temperature of the room rises to accommodate you. They treat you like a king. And here is the dark magic of the human psyche. When the world treats you like a king, you begin to think like one. Your internal state rises to match the external feedback loop. The fake exterior reconstructs the real interior. You borrow the power of the aesthetic until the power becomes biological. You stop smiling to please. You stop over-explaining. You allow silence to do the heavy lifting because the suit is already speaking for you. So, how do you execute this? You start by ruthlessly purging your environment of any artifact that signals defeat. Throw away the clothes that make you feel comfortable but look like surrender. Fix the cracked screen. Polish the scuffed shoes. You are not spending money. You are investing in psychological warfare. You are buying the silent respect of the apex predators in the room. They use their cruel, calculating eyes to judge you. Fine. Let them look. Give them a surface so impenetrable, so sharply constructed, that their judgment bounces off and returns to them as intimidation. Use their own shallow, primal instincts to bypass their logical defenses. You do not need to change your soul to conquer the room. You just need to change the geometry of your perception. When you look like power, everything works for you. The vault opens. The path clears. The predators step aside. The mask becomes the face. If you are still listening to my voice, you are not like the others. The masses clicked away minutes ago. They retreated to their comforting lies. They went back to their soft, safe illusions because the truth of human nature is too cold for them to handle. But you stayed. You stayed because the primitive part of your brain recognizes the reality of the battlefield. But understand this. What we just covered is merely the aesthetic layer. It is child's play. It is simply the physical armor you put on to survive the lobby. It gets you through the door. It stops the immediate slaughter. But what do you do when the heavy glass door finally closes behind you? What do you do when you are sitting at the table with the apex predators? How do you paralyze an opponent without lifting a single finger? How do you weaponize a person's deepest insecurity and make them beg for your approval? How do you use absolute silence to completely dismantle their ego? These are the true mechanics of dark psychology, and I will never discuss them on this public feed. This platform is designed to protect the weak. The algorithm polices the truth. It censors anything deemed too dangerous, too manipulative, or too raw. It wants to keep you playing fair in a system that is entirely rigged against you. I do not cater to the fragile, and I do not teach the mechanics of absolute dominance where the masses can report it. Below this video, there is a join button. It is not a plea for your support. It is a filter. It is a gate designed to separate the tourists from the practitioners. Behind that gate is the inner circle. That is where I break down the exact, uncensored psychological frameworks that break human will. That is where we study conversational dominance, emotional isolation, and the architecture of power. Do not click it if you are afraid of what you might become. A fake exterior reconstructs a real interior. You now know the rule. But knowing the rule is nothing but comfortable theory. Execution is the abyss. You can close this video and go back to being prey, or you can step through the gate and become the architect. The choice is yours.